Welcome back to Game Talk from the Bench. I'm your host, Drew Barreto, and today I'm here with my guest, my uncle, Andrew Barreto. And we got a lot to cover. A lot of NBA free agency has started, the draft has happened, and there's a lot of teams making a lot of changes. Also going on, we got some NFL trades, a couple NFL trades that have gone on in the past couple of days, so we'll touch on that too. But to start us off, lots of trades have gone down in the NBA, and the Hawks are one of those teams that was part of those big trades. So they had a three-team trade that got them Kristaps Porzingis. They also, but however, they did lose Terrence Mann. They lost George Niang. They've also lost Karis LeVert, Larry Nance, and Clint Capella due to free agency. But they signed Nikhil Alexander Walker from the Timberwolves on a 4-year deal, and they also signed Luke Kennard. So they paired Porzingis with Trae Young. They also added great I wouldn't necessarily say a 3 and D type of guy, but a good role player in Nikhil Alexander Walker. He's great off the bench. He showed great flashes in the playoffs, putting up 20 plus points,
Yeah.
multiple games. He's a guy who can knock down a corner three for you and play above average defense. And then Luke Kennard's a sharpshooter from the Grizzlies. That obviously will help the offense for Atlanta, but big money moves.
Yeah,
Being
this is the time of the year where money's flowing. It's what was it? I think it was Monday was the official first day. Where
yeah,
you could
Monday at
sign
like
some, make it
3 o'clock.
official contracts and stuff. And money is going to get thrown around. There's going to be some deals where our minds are going to get blown. How much that individual got. But yeah, like you said, there's a whole lot of deals. Um, yeah, we'll see. I know we're anxious to see who the Warriors pick up, but as of right now, the July 1st, there has been no move. So go ahead.
Yeah, Warriors haven't done anything. I know all of Warrior Nation is expecting moves to be made. They're expecting either a big trade or a big free agency signing, but nothing has yet come to that. But big changes as well going to the Boston Celtics. Obviously, everyone's been talking about the second apron. Salary cap affecting a lot of teams. They were the number one team that got affected by it. They lost Porzingis, Luke Cornett, and Drew Holiday. They dealt Drew Holiday and Porzingis. Luke Cornett left to the Spurs. And all they've gotten back so far is they got Anthony Simons, George Niang via trade, and then they signed Josh Minott and Luka Garza. Obviously, with no Jason Tatum, it might be a rough year for the Celtics next year. I mean, they're going to have to ride Jaylen Brown and Derek White. They're probably going to lose Al Horford as well. It's going to be a rough year for that Celtics team. I don't think. I mean, they could make the playoffs. I mean, a lot of injuries have gone on in the Eastern Conference, but it's going to be a tough year for them next year.
Yeah, that's just they shell out a lot of money to go after that ring, and then once you win the championship, and then after that you got to figure out. I know things didn't go quite the way they wanted to last year. Of course, it was a huge injury, right, to their star player Jason Tatum, who's supposed to be out for the whole year. From what I believe, and I'm not sure if Nang and Garza and Anthony Simons are going to hold down the fort until he comes back. Along with Jaylen Brown and the other guys still there. But yeah, a lot of guys leaving Boston. And yeah, with the other teams getting better, I think it's going to be pretty tough for them to. But the Celtics, they're always going to be competitive. I mean, I think they have enough there to. And you're in the East. Remember, we talked about the East before too. I mean, you could have 30 wins and be in the playoffs in the East.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, they could have 30 wins and be fine for a playing spot. So that obviously, like you said, they have a great head coach in Joe Mazzulla. They still have great players on their team. They're just without their star. So they're going to have to see if Jaylen Brown can lead them to hopefully a playoff run. Maybe Jason Tatum comes back in time, but I don't think so. I mean, Achilles injuries, they got to take the full year out. But moving on, I'm not going to fully talk about the Nets, but I'm going to talk about the trade that happened with the Nets. They traded Cam Thomas to the Nuggets for Michael Porter Jr. and a first-round pick. So Nets received Porter Jr. and the first, and they ship out Cam Johnson. And if you look at stats-wise, Porter and Johnson are virtually the same player. They average about the same amount of points per game, same shooting percentage. But defensively, Johnson is better. Cameron Johnson, obviously, he was part of that Kevin Durant trade. Him and Mikal had a great year together in Brooklyn before they shipped off Mikal. Now he's going to the Nuggets team that they've done some moves. I mean,
Yeah, they done very well. I think so far, with the free agent signings that they and the trades and just their moves in general, I think they've done very well. Um, like you said, Cam Johnson, my source, my son said that's an upgrade from Michael Porter Jr. He
yeah,
said Cam Johnson passes as well, so he could shoot
yeah.
the 3 point.
Michael Porter Jr. has got that
Yeah.
nickname. Michael never passed the rock.
All right. See, I didn't know that. I'm going off
Yeah,
my source here, and sometimes my sources, throws out some fake news on me. But I went with them on this one. I go, you know what? I remember Michael Porter Jr. watching him a few times. Yeah, he does not pass the ball, so that's the plus side for Denver is they got Cam Johnson who passes. Bruce Brown, sorry, he agrees to 1 year deal. Tim Hardaway Jr., Jonas Valanciunas. I think they're nailing it right now. They got
yeah.
some.
Speaking of Jonas Valanciunas, yeah, they traded Dario Saric for Jonas Valanciunas, one-on-one trade with the Kings, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, the Warriors couldn't do something like this. We couldn't trade Trace Jackson Davis, are probably better than Dario Saric for Jonas Valanciunas. I'm like, dude, the Warriors need a big man. They're just letting all these
That's
guys.
this guy's backing up Jokic. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
oh man,
that's yeah.
they just
Hey,
got some debt right there, and they're already, the championship a couple years ago, and still they're making deep in the playoffs this year, and I think they're right back up there with their other Jokic and Jamal Murray, and they're starters. They just added some depth there, and yeah, they're gonna be a good team next year.
yeah, they definitely are, but yeah, Nuggets obviously with Jokic, they're always gonna be probably top 6 seed in the West, unless something crazy goes down. Obviously, yeah, he's getting up there in age. So is Jamal Murray. But now they traded for Cam Johnson. They signed Bruce Brown, who was on that championship roster with them. They get a backup center. They get Tim Hardaway Jr., who's a great guy off the bench. They're going to be tough to beat in the West, but another team's going to be tough to beat in the West is the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, they re-signed Kyrie to a 3-year extension. Yeah, he tore his ACL a little past midway of the year, but they just signed D'Angelo Russell to a 2-year deal. He will fill in for Kyrie for the time being. And they also got the first overall pick in the draft, and they
Yeah,
took Cooper
right.
Flag with it. And with AD going to be playing as the power forward where he's best at, they're going to be tough to beat. I think if they can get through the stretch of missing Kyrie can come back late in the season for the playoffs, and they could probably make a run for a championship. They got great veterans, Clay, AD, both have championship experience. Cooper Flag's going to be a day one impact. That guy's going to be starting day one. And then they got great guys at the bench. They're probably PJ Washington. I mean, who knows? Cooper Flag could come off the bench. They do have PJ Washington, but they got Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. They got young bigs. And they with the sign of D'Lo signed for cheap too. I'm pretty sure it was like 2 years. I think it was $13 million. They got D'Angelo Russell for cheap, and he'll be a great fill-in for Kyrie while he's out. And then boom, once he comes back in, boom, D'Lo moves to the bench, and then you got a great bench unit, and that's just great depth for the Mavericks.
And that's the thing we talked about before is the West. I mean, they weren't just gonna. That's why I think it's gonna be hard for the OKC to repeat. I don't think it's
Yeah,
they're not. I don't think they're as dominant as maybe a lot of things are being said. Yes, they won the championship. Congratulations, 7 games, whatever it may be. You beat everybody in front of you. But these other West teams are getting loaded. Denver Nuggets, like we
and they're
talked about.
getting healthy.
Yeah, and then Mavericks. When you got Anthony Davis, he's a menace on his own, right? And then you add Cooper Flag. Yeah, Klay Thompson's still there balling. I think he had about 14, 15 points a game last. So he's still capable of doing what he normally does. D'Angelo Russell, I think that's a huge signing. Just waiting for Kyrie to come back, who comes back to a new contract. Derek Lively, like you said, Daniel Gafford. Yeah, it's a good team.
It's a
They're going to
great
be
team.
they're going to bother some players, bother some teams. So
I mean, I would have.
um,
They might be the favorite to probably win it in the West. Obviously, they're always going to pit the previous winner first, but Mavericks probably be second. Like I said, they could get through the stretch of missing Kyrie and have a winning record when he comes back. I mean, dude, I don't think there's in a 7 game series, I mean, as long as they're playing as a team, and AD stays healthy, they all stay healthy. I mean, that's going to be a tough team to beat in 7 games.
I heard this was Nico Harris. This was his plan.
I'm sure.
When he traded Luca, this is what he. No,
I'm hoping
yeah,
the Bucks do the same. I'm hoping the Bucks they trade Giannis to the Warriors, and
yeah.
they end up getting the first overall pick. But yeah, I mean that's crazy. When you
Well,
see the lottery happen, they had like a 1% chance at the
yeah.
first overall
It's
pick, and
very
they end up getting
slim, and
it.
they got it.
Yeah,
We talked about it before. If there was any kind of shenanigans in there, it's kind of hard to rig that thing. But anyways, anything could be fixed. I just all I know is they're getting a hell of a player in Cooper Flag. I'm pretty sure he's going to be ready to go right off the bat and get in the starting lineup. But yeah, like you said, I don't. The Bucks made a trade today, right? So I don't know if Giannis is going anywhere, but that's debatable.
yeah. Before we get to the Bucks, I kind of want to talk about the Cavs. They re-signed Sam Merrill. He was a great guy off their bench, but they added Larry Nance Jr., who was a former Cav, and they traded for Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball got traded for Isaac Okoro, and then Ty Jerome left in free agency to the Grizzlies. And to me, I really like that. I think Lonzo's a great player, especially when he's healthy. He could do everything. He could rebound, he could assist, he could shoot the ball well. You add that to a team that's already got Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Lonzo coming off your bench. I mean, he possibly could start depending on how they move the lineup. But Lonzo coming off your bench, that's a great player you want off your bench. A guy that could facilitate, a guy that could score at probably all 3 levels. And, Okoro, he's still a young player. He still has, he's got talent, but I think a one-on-one trade, I think the Cavs will win that trade. I mean, sure, the Bulls get off probably Lonzo's contract. Lonzo's a little bit older. And losing Ty Jerome isn't the worst thing in free agency. It could have been just the miracle year he had. He was playing great. I believe he deserves Sixth Man of the Year, but he goes to the Grizzlies. We'll see if he could replicate that season that he had last year.
Yeah, big contract. He got a big
Yeah,
contract too, right? 3 years, 28 million. We'll see if he translates that to another good season like he had, and um, we'll see how that goes. I just think, yeah, Lonzo Ball, you got to stay healthy, and then you're taking place of that Ty Jerome spot off the bench. Yeah, Larry Nance Jr. He's just been. It's so funny. He originally played for the Cavs before, and now he's back. So
yeah, drafted
um,
by the Lakers, right? Pretty sure, and then got traded to the Cavs. Then yeah, he's been bouncing around. He's with the Pelicans and whatnot. Yeah, you talked about the Bucks making a trade earlier, but they didn't make a trade. They made a signing, a big signing. They signed Miles Turner to a 4 year, I believe it's 100 million, 100 and like something $1 million deal. Obviously, Turner was just in the finals with the Pacers. He was there with the Pacers for 10 years. Obviously they came up short. He underperformed in that finals. I thought he disappointed his team. I thought he could have. He probably could have won then the series, but he just failed to put up points and knock down shots. So it was rough. But the Bucks had him a big contract because they lost Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez was huge for the Bucks, especially in the championship year. Obviously he's up there in age. He's I believe 38, 30, 39. But they lose Brook Lopez to the Clippers. He signs I believe a 2 year deal with the Clippers. They waived Damian Lillard. Lillard, tore his Achilles coming back to play in the playoffs. He tore his Achilles and will be all out all of next year. And they waived him. They gave that contract to Miles Turner and they waived Damian Lillard. And that's just that's like a punch right to the gut. I mean, Lillard, served 10 plus years with the Trailblazers, trying to win there. Leaves, finally leaves, and then that's how he gets treated. It's rough. It's evil out there.
yeah, he gets injured. He has that huge Achilles that we've seen several times in the playoffs this year, and they went ahead and waived him. He's owed 113 million, so I think he'll be all right. He's got to go through rehab,
Yeah.
just get back to his old self, and then determine what's in his future, where what opportunities he has after. But yeah, I would say bad news for the Pacers, right? I mean, that was a key. That's your starter, one of your starters, one of your key players on your team, and I'm just did they get back to the finals? I don't know. After what the Knicks did today, I think it's even going to be harder. So that's where we always say, like, I don't know if these teams are going to be repeating like we've seen those dynasty teams in the past do. Uh, 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 when other teams have the opportunity, with free agency and signings to load up and get ready for the season.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, obviously, they signed a bunch of guys. Kevin Porter Jr., Bobby Porter's, Teron Prince, Jericho Sims, Gary Trent Jr., and then they added Vasily Misic, and then Gary Harris. But it's just I don't know. Miles Turner's a great player. I believe he's 30. Is he only 30? He might be 29. But I mean, after seeing his playoff performance, I kind of shocked the Bucks gave him such a big contract. But I mean, he is still one of the better bigs in the league. But like you
Yeah.
said, it's gonna be hard for them to get back into the final, especially without a player like Dame. Dame's still big time player. Obviously not the guy he was in his prime, but still interesting to me. But Minnesota Timberwolves. They lost a couple. They lost a key guy, like I said earlier. The Atlanta Hawks signed Nikhil Alexander Walker. That's a big depth player that the Timberwolves lose. But they re-signed Joe Ingles on a one-year deal. Obviously, Joe Ingles probably didn't play at all last year. He's just kind of one of those Andre Iguodala guys in his final years. He's just like the player coach out there.
Yeah.
Then they gave Naz Reid a 5-year deal, which is great for them because Naz Reid is an incredible player. Obviously, he's still very young. Himself was only drafted in 2019. Then they gave Julius Randle a 3-year. Oh, was it a 3-year, 100 million? I'm pretty sure it was. And I
It
thought
was a
that
big
was
it was a big
it was a
extension,
big,
right?
yeah, it was a big lot of money, and I just to be honest, I mean, yeah, he played great the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, and then your biggest round against the Thunder, he kind of just got shut down, kind of
Yeah.
just fell off in that playoff series against the Thunder to go to the finals, and that was just same thing happened the year before. Luca. I mean, not Luca. Ant made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals, and then it's like that team just ran. It's like their team just ran out of gas, and they just couldn't get over the hump.
Used all their energy in the earlier rounds. I agree. I thought Randall was having like an MVP type playoff run, and then they just ran out of gas against OKC, the younger running gun team there. They had more left in the tank, and but yeah, they'll be back. That's another West team that I think signing some of their key players, Naz Reid, Julius Randle. You got Inglis there for like you said, be an assistant coach or hype guy off the bench or something. But yeah, no, their Alexander Walker departure, I would think that's pretty huge. Coming out, I think he was off the bench. I recall him against the Warriors, giving them some great minutes and good energy. So I'm sure that's going to be missed.
Yeah, he definitely was huge for them off the bench. Him and obviously they still have Dante DiVincenzo, but Nikhil Alexander Walker was also one of those guys that was just crucial for them depth wise, especially when they didn't play like the whole bench. He was just huge to fill in for like Jaden McDaniels and whatnot. But this offseason, besides probably like every team I feel like has made a big move, or at least they made a move besides the Warriors. But the Pelicans, they did a good amount. They lost Kelly Olynyk, C.J. McCollum, Bruce Brown. They traded for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and then they signed beloved Kevon Looney.
No. Oh no, oh loon dog, man! It
Looney,
was bound to happen. I
yeah,
mean, when you have this dynasty that the Warriors had, we already saw it last year with Klay Thompson. These guys, it starts to trickle down to where, okay, Looney, thank you for your services. You're a fan favorite. You're an amazing, just blue collar worker battling in the trenches. Yeah, I mean, after a while, it's just like, who's getting the rebounds for us? We're playing small ball. Who's getting the rebounds? Looney's just grabbing everything in sight, battling, each playoff series and in the championship runs that they had. Three-time champ. I don't know if you saw that there's only, I believe there's only four, I had it on me somewhere, 4 or 5 people, current players that have 3 championships or more, and it's Steph, Clay, Draymond, LeBron
LeBron.
James, and Kevon Looney.
Yeah, I
So
mean Looney was a dog. I mean his
yeah,
2022 playoff run was special. That dude was grabbing almost like close to 20 rebounds a game. I mean
yeah,
he was just huge, and obviously he had a great relation with Jordan Poole. That probably helped linger his decision to go there. To go back up, team up with Jordan Poole again because Poole's still a great player. Um, we'll see how he plays with Zion, Herb Jones, and whatnot.
yeah. They
But
it seems like every year, whenever this kind of end of year happened, Kevon Looney was always a talk of a guy to be traded or a trade bait. You know what I mean? Like use him along with some other people to get somebody else, and never panned out. And he put in 10 solid years for the Golden State Warriors champion. Just I think Steve Kerr said he's just just a professional. But yeah, no, his services will be missed. He was such a great player. I know even you hear a lot out there. It's just like, oh, we don't want that thing. But like we said, things start moving around, players start moving. We have to at the same time, Warriors. I mean by we, start look for some younger guys to get more. Trace Jackson Jr., Quentin Post, which if you ask me, those guys are still too young, not close to what Kawhi Looney
yeah,
did.
they need a big man. They need a seven
Yeah.
foot guy that's got experience. Obviously, the market's getting smaller and smaller as the days goes. Guys are flying off the board. But yeah, I mean, Kevon Looney was fan favorite. He's got a lot of experience. He's got a bunch of leadership experience as well, and he's gonna be a great player for the Pelicans. They got him on a cheap deal, 2 years, 16 million.
Yeah.
But he will be missed. But another team, this team I was talking about last episode, I was talking about how they were failing their star player. They seem to be making a couple moves. Obviously, the Phoenix Suns, they traded Kevin Durant. That was the big move for the offseason. They lost Tyus Jones in free agency, but they traded for Mark Williams through the draft. Obviously, they got Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks from that Kevin Durant trade out, and then they drafted the 7-1 rookie from Duke, Kaman Maluak, the center from Duke. They signed him. They draft him with pick 10, so they get 2 big men. And like I said, they got a couple. They still have Bradley Beyond the team. Like I said, they have Jalen Williams now. They got Dylan Brooks. Now they got 2 big men. Hopefully the Suns have a better year. I mean, their big three was a little bit of a disappointment this past year. Obviously, things didn't go well. But hopefully, like I said, I believe they failed Devin Booker with this time. Like I said, they were in the finals. Then they took apart that team that went to the finals, and then they kind of just fell out of the play-in, which is crazy to believe. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I think a lot of people have been saying like, what are the? I remember Draymond Green. He was on TNT. I think he got fined for this. Did we talk about this already? Where he told he was just
yeah,
yelling out. We was yelling out to Devin Booker, "You need to leave.
yeah,
You need to get out of there. What the heck are they doing there?" But with that whole trade for Kevin Durant going to the Rockets, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks. I mean, they have some players. Is that enough to be relevant in the West? I don't think so. I think they're a lot away from being competitive. Especially in the West.
yeah. They're gonna need a lot more if they want to be, competitive in the West, like you said. Obviously, those moves are big. Well, they're not like super big, but they're good moves for them. But it's probably not enough. With the West being so competitive, so tough to beat. I mean, shoot, you see Shea earlier, I believe it was today or yesterday. Shea did his 4-year extension of $285 million. The MVP got himself the MVP, Finals MVP, whatever you want to call him, got his big
4-year extension. Yeah.
extension.
Give him his money.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
player in the league. You just won a championship. You got to try to do the same thing again. It's gonna be tough, but there's a young team in the West that they've been struggling for a couple years now, but they got one of the best big men in the league, and that's the San Antonio Spurs. Through free agency, they haven't done much. Yeah, they signed Luke Cornett. He'll be a good big man off the bench. Um, but during the draft, they drafted Dylan Harper
Yeah.
at the number 2 overall pick. Um, so they were
Filipino.
paired.
He's a
Yeah,
Filipino heritage. Yeah. He's
he is. I
there's
believe he's
only
got
a few of them in the league. There's Jordan Clarkson,
Jalen
Jalen Green,
Green.
and Jared McCain, and now Dylan Harper. Which I was reading a little bit about Dylan Harper. His dad's Ron Harper, and Ron
Yes.
Harper, he's a 5-time champion. With the Bulls, Jordan, Pippen, those guys, Rodman, and then with the Lakers, of course, he was part of those victories there in the 2000s when Ron Harper was part of those championship teams. So I'd expect big things from Dylan Harper. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're drafting that high, and I think he's already saying, "Oh, we're making the playoffs." He's already
Mm-hmm.
said in his interviews, and so he's a confident young man. And him, I don't have the depth chart in front of me, but you got Wembayana, you got Dylan Harper, you got
They
what
have
was the
De'Aaron
Castle?
Fox,
Yeah,
Stephen Castle. Still have Chris Paul. They got Jeremy Shohan. I mean, they got a lot of young guys. I thought last year they could have had a chance to be playing type team. Obviously, Wemby was out the whole year with the deep bone. I believe it was thrombosis with a blood clot.
that's right.
So he was out all year. He'll come back this upcoming year. Now, like I said, they have Dylan Harper. They also drafted Carter Bryant out of Arizona. Um, at pick 14. He's a forward, 6'7", 215. This guy was drafted 2005. I mean, he was born in 2005. It's 2 years older than me. It's just
He's a young
crazy.
dude.
Yeah. So Spurs had two lottery picks in the draft. They get a forward and a guard, and they got a young team. With a little bit of veterans. Like I said, Chris Paul. Obviously, Wemby's entering, I believe, year 3.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be. Yeah, I've been hoping they've been doing good. But what do you think about Dylan Harper on number 2? Ever
I
since
like
Kawhi
it.
left, no one's
Yeah.
wore number 2.
Yeah, I saw that. They gave him someone's going to wear it eventually, and they have high hopes for this guy. He's saying all the right things, and how he wants to bring a winning franchise. He started talking about or bringing winning back to the franchise. He remembered growing up. He started. He's at the arena there or wherever they're practicing, and he's walking around. There's Tim Duncan. There's David Robinson. Manu Ginobili. Those guys there. So he wants to bring that back, and why not wear number 2 to the last guy who wore that was pretty dominant there for the San Antonio Spurs. And I'm a little bummed. I'm actually going to the Spurs and Miami Heat. They're having that
Oh,
California
the California
Classic thing in
Classic at Chase
Chase.
Center.
I'm
Yeah.
going Saturday, so I'm going to that game, and it's with the AAU basketball team my son plays for. They have tickets, and they're going to go down and meet some of the players. I don't know if it's in the tunnel or if it's on the court or where, but so I told him, hey, Dylan Harper's on that, but he'll be there, but he's not playing.
Oh, that's rough. How about the other rookies? Carter Bryant playing?
He's supposed to play, yeah.
Okay, that's
He's
good. You
supposed
get
to play.
to one of their picks. Yeah.
So that's why
But
I was like,
sometimes,
darn it,
sometimes those top picks they don't play in the smaller tournaments, but they'll
they don't
play.
play.
They'll play in the summer league,
Vegas.
right?
Vegas.
Yeah,
They're waiting for Vegas. So I was just
But,
like, at first there was an article saying he was going to play, so I was all pumped up, and I guess he has some growing issues going on or something like that. So he's waiting till it heals up a little bit, playing in Vegas. But yeah, it's exciting time for the San Antonio Spurs. They got some young talent to get
They
around.
also got
and
a new head coach. Great Pop retired, right? Am I
That's
wrong?
right. Yeah, about like
Retired.
Yeah, there's new coaches just in general too, right? The Nuggets are getting this rookie coach. Well, I know he had a few games under his belt, right? Adelman,
Hmm.
and getting them players, man.
Yeah,
They're
Knicks are
loading
still
up
looking.
and no excuses. The Knicks are still looking. They're bringing
Knicks are
back
still
Mike
looking.
Brown, right, for a
Yeah, they
second.
for a second interview. Yeah,
It,
but
they're still looking because that's everybody's denying them, saying, "Nah, he's not going to talk to our current coaches. Are you crazy? Trying to steal
yeah,
one of our coaches?" But they made a couple good moves where I think
yeah,
this
they got
could get
themselves
them.
some depth.
Yeah,
They signed Jordan Clarkson, and they signed the Frenchman, Gershon Yabusele. He was a big name in the Olympics.
yeah.
They haven't lost anyone, but they did add those two guys. So those will be two guys off the bench that could hopefully, whoever the next head coaches will play them instead of having his starters play 40 plus minutes every night. Um,
Well, Jordan Clarkson, that's former 6 man of the year. I mean, that's the kind of offense that they missed in those playoffs. I mean, that him off the bench. I mean, yeah, like you said, the stars are playing these big, heavy minutes. We'll get Clarkson, his specialties coming off the bench and bringing energy and getting buckets. So I like that signing for the New York Knicks. The other guy too, I mostly recognize him against the Warriors. He was tearing the Warriors up. I
he
can't believe
did. I
it
remember
was with.
that game. The game with
Do you
Quentin
remember that
Grimes
game?
had like 46. He was
Yeah.
also playing really well, knocking down
I
couple
think
of
he
threes.
was wearing out the Warriors. I'm like, who is this guy? Then I went and watched the Netflix Olympics special, and he was doing it in the Olympics too. And I'm like,
Yeah, he dunked on LeBron. Yeah,
yeah,
he's a little bit of an underrated guy now in the league. He wasn't in the league before. Philly, the 76ers gave him a chance.
yeah,
Now he's got himself a little deal with the Knicks.
a big guy, big strong dude, and I think he's like I don't have it in front of me, but 6'9" maybe. Uh, yeah, I like that signing too for the Knicks. So we'll see. Once you get a coach, put it all together. You have one of the best players, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns. You have, and then Mikal Bridges after 17 first round picks, uh,
Yeah,
and so yeah, I would expect them to be right where they're at. If not, they finals favorites after the Pacers got one of their main guys goes elsewhere, Miles Turner.
yeah, they should honestly probably be favorites to go to the finals, but especially with this, like I said, the East being injured. Halliburton's out. Dame's not on the Bucks no more, but he's out.
Jason
Jason
Tatum.
Tatum's out. So yeah, obviously probably the Cavaliers would be their competition.
Now is the time.
Pistons could be a sneaky team, but I
Yeah,
want to go
yeah,
back to like I said, Dylan Harper went too. It's great. Obviously Kawhi's a legend. Do you think they retire Kawhi's number though? I mean, sure, he came in, won a couple of championships, won a Finals MVP. Oh no, he won a championship, stopped the three-peat, won a Finals MVP. I mean,
uh,
he was a great player in San Antonio. I mean, do you think they should retire his number, or
it's interesting.
now that they gave it to the rookie, is that like a sign saying okay, it's not getting retired?
It's not happening. I'm looking at their current retired numbers. Yeah, David Robinson, George Gervin, Sean Elliott, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Bruce Bowen. It goes on. Avery Johnson, Tony Parker. Yeah, that's a good question. I sometimes like to see the old school numbers come back. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how I'd feel if I saw number 30 on somebody else for the Warriors.
Yeah,
Just like you would never live up to that.
but
Don't
like
put that on me.
Wemby, what if Wemby wore 55?
Yeah, right. I'm just like, take that off. You can't be wearing a, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because I believe ever since he left, no one had worn two until Dylan
all right.
Harper.
Yeah, yeah. I think I
So
was reading something like that, and they said, yeah, it's kind of been on hold, but um, they have, like I said, they feel good about this draft pick. In addition to every other the other young picks they have, and which true, yeah, so funny here when I'm reading the retired ones, and yeah, maybe I don't know how long he played for them. He got drafted by the
he
Spurs,
got
right?
drafted by them, and was he drafted by them in 20? I believe it was 2013, and then they won it in 2014, and then he got traded, I believe 2018 or 2019 to the
So we
Raptors.
got
Yeah.
he got a few. Yeah, he's 2012. I have him
Oh,
here
2012.
2011,
Okay, so he was
2012.
there. He
One,
was there for
two,
about
three,
six
four,
years.
5, 6, yeah, 7 years. Wow.
Yeah, he was there for a good amount of time. And then he went to the Raptors, and then he went to the Clippers. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm
That's
not sure how to take that. Is that a slap to the face?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
he's probably
I mean, he probably
single-handedly.
doesn't. Yeah, he probably doesn't care. Kawhi's just that kind of guy who's just like it's
Maybe it
whatever.
wasn't a smooth breakup. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, we
there's
don't
a
know.
new young buck in town, and he's wearing number 2 right now, unless he ends up changing it. Too much pressure.
Yeah. But before we talk about what kind of moves we want to be seen be made, one last thing I want to talk about is the Rockets. Rockets have loaded up this offseason. They traded for Kevin Durant. We all know that. We talked about it last episode. They extended Steven Adams. They re-signed Aaron Holiday. They brought back Jeff Green. They extended Jabari Smith on a 5-year deal. Jason Tate came back on a new deal. Fred VanVleet agreed to a 2-year extension. And like I said, they already have Alfred Sengun starting center. They have Steven Adams off the bench. And then they signed Clint Capella to a 3-year deal. They also signed Dorian Finney-Smith. I mean, these guys should also probably be favorites to win the finals. I mean, they were the what were they? They were the I think the second seed last year. They were the second seed, and they just happened to face the
Correct.
seventh seed, Steph Curry and the Warriors, and ended up losing in 7. And now they got better. They got more depth. But
Mhm.
obviously, Steph Curry will probably find a way to somehow still beat them. But it's gonna. I mean, they're a great team. They got depth. They got experience. Now the big question is always, can they play together? That's the big question, especially with Kevin Durant on the team.
I know I spoke earlier
Great
about
point.
the Denver Nuggets. They nailed it. Yeah, Houston Rockets. They're nailing it. They have the mixture, the championship mixture uh, of young and the veterans. Right. You got the young guys there. Um, Amid Thompson and Sengun
Mhm.
mixed in with the veterans, like you said, Van Fleet agreeing to a 2-year extension. Steven Adams is back. Um, he's like the loony. He reminds me of a loony type. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like
guy that comes
they
off the
go in,
bench.
do the dirty work, get the rebounds,
Mm-hmm.
battle against the biggest, strongest guy out there. Hurt, healthy, hurt, whatever it may be. Clint Capella, yeah, he's his name has come up plenty of times throughout the Warriors and Rockets battles, and yeah, I probably don't like him. Yeah, and we're Kevin Durant, right? I mean, you go there, and it's just like, okay, your NFL final odds have just 2026 championship odds have just went. I think they're number 4 now, according to this FanDuel. OKC, New York Knicks. We were talking about that. New York Knicks are second. Cleveland Cavaliers and Houston
Yeah,
Rockets jump up to the 4th slot there, followed by the Nuggets and Orlando Magic too, huh? Okay.
yeah. I mean, the Magic. They draft. They didn't draft. They traded for. Um, oh, it's blanking on me. It's up here. Who they trade for? Hold on.
Okay,
Right
there you
here.
go. Desmond
Desmond
Bain.
Bain. Yeah. They
Yeah.
traded for Desmond Bain. They signed Tyus Jones, who's a great point guard off the bench. Obviously, they lost Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, and KCP. But yeah. I mean, they were a great team to start, a young team as well. Um, seeing. I'm checking the
They're
draft. I
just
don't know
going
if
to
they.
get, yeah, that team there, they're going to
They drafted
just get
Jace
better.
Richardson, the son of Jason Richardson, I believe. Um,
What's his name?
Richardson. Yeah, he's the son of Jason Richardson. He's a 6'1" guard. They drafted him at the 25th pick. Um, yeah, Magic could be a sneaky team. They were missing, I believe it was Mo Wagner last season. He was out with injury. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's honestly kind of surprising me that they were, what, 5th, you said on that?
This is when you're getting old. Is so he's his dad is Jason Richardson, the Michigan State, a member of Spartans 2000 national champion. Oh, all right. Hey, I like it. Every time,
Yeah.
like, Dylan Harper, Ron Harper, Jace Richardson, and Jason Richardson. Um, yeah, I'm not familiar with him playing in college. But now that he's in the NBA, I'm sure I'll be watching. I try to watch as much as possible, but I like it.
Yeah. But let's talk about probably the biggest thing right now in the NBA is where is Jonathan Kaminga? playing this upcoming year? Is it with the Warriors or are they gonna trade him? I mean, what do you think? Where and should they trade him?
I think he's staying. I mean, now to me, it looks like this whole dream of Giannis is. I don't think it's happening. They would have to give up too much. Uh, they already have big money that they have to shell out for Curry and Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green and now Kaminga. So I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't think that whole Giannis thing's happening. So I think Kaminga resigns with the Warriors. Even though you get this feeling like I'm expecting Looney's gone. I'm expecting the news to hit any time now that some
Yeah,
team desperate for just one of these young talents that potentially could be everything you want in a basketball player. He's had all the highlight reels, and yeah, he's that kind of player, and he's young, right? I mean, he's still young, and even though he's been in the league since 2019, I think, and well, I'm hopeful he stays, especially since there's no moves. We talked about it, no moves from the Warriors so far. If there is a move, let
yeah,
it be we're keeping Kaminga, we're keeping we mix him in there with Moody. We got Quentin Post. I think they exercised the option for
yeah.
Quentin
Him and Guy
Post and
Santos, they
Guy Santos, Trace Jackson Jr., the other young guy who's going to the Valkyrie games and heckling Caitlin Clark. What's that
Brad
guy's name?
Pajetsky. Yeah,
Pajetsky.
yeah.
You
I
got
mean, I
nothing
don't
else to
know.
do? You need to get some shots up, dude. Leave Caitlin Clark alone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, it's like It's like tough love for Jonathan Kuminga. Obviously,
Yeah,
he's a great player, but it's just he doesn't seem to want to fit in with these
yeah,
Warriors team. He doesn't want to fit in. Curry's gonna be the main guy and will always be the main guy.
yeah.
Obviously, once he retires, then obviously it's got to be someone else. But for the time being, he needs to adjust, and it just seems like he never does. Obviously there's been rumors that the Warriors are trying to get Kobe White from the Bulls. Obviously, Vucevic from the Bulls is also a name. They might sign and trade him there. Sign and trade him to the Miami Heat, possibly for an old friend in Andrew Wiggins. I'm
Oh,
hoping they could get Bam at a bio. I'm hoping we could send Kaminga. Maybe
I've been waiting for a guy like that, like a Bama Adebayo
yeah.
or
I'm hoping they could
Pascal
trade.
Siakam or
Yeah,
Miles Turner,
Kaminga.
something like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping they could trade like Kaminga, Jackson Davis, and maybe a first and a couple seconds for Wiggins and Bam. I mean, you get another 3-and-D type guy. You get a big man, so Draymond doesn't have to play center. Still
Yeah.
have post op for your bench, and you get to keep some of your depth. And yeah, I mean, hopefully. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be upset if Kaminga stays. He's a guy who would give you 20 points off the bench.
But you're
Um,
right. I mean, you saw it in the playoffs last year. He barely had any minutes in the first couple rounds. That's when
yeah.
Curry was
I
healthy.
mean,
He just
he
wasn't.
didn't play in some of the games against the Rockets. Finally, he got some playing time because Jimmy Butler got hurt. And then obviously, Curry went down
Yeah,
against the T Wolves. Obviously, he played more too because they needed more offensive production. And he was putting up 20 plus. They just, they couldn't win. And it was rough. He was playing some pretty good defense. But yeah, I mean, you need a center. And free agency, there's not a lot of free agent centers out there. So you might have to trade for one. Like you said, I don't think you can't entirely rely on Quentin Post and
yeah.
Trey
We
Jackson
need some.
Davis.
Yeah, Quentin Post. I think he got exposed in that
Yeah,
playoff series.
he did.
Not only against the Rockets. I think it was the Rockets, but yeah, he was just getting pushed around everywhere. It's like, oh
Yeah.
man, we need a center, and
I
they
mean,
I
he's
think
seven. He's 7 foot. He's a tall guy. I mean, Trey Jackson Davis is only 6'9", if that, and he's still young.
they were having problems. Steven Adams was
Yeah,
having his way, and that's why we had to go to old trusty Looney to get in there and battle one more time for the Dubs. But yeah, no, they've acknowledged they need a big guy, a center, and kind of going away from obviously because everyone's getting older and
yeah,
the whole small ball kind of thing. So they're already rumored to be looking for a big guy, and that's needed too. I mean, especially since our biggest guy left to the Pelicans, we need, and our other guys, they're just too young, because we're
yeah,
trying to compete now, right? We're trying to still make the playoffs and make a run. Curry's not going to have a whole lot more runs left in the tank. I'm hoping he does, but just the aging process, man. There's a lot of things you can't do after you hit a certain age. The body hurts.
Yeah, it's getting rough. Jimmy Butler's up there, Draymond's up there, Curry's
Yeah.
up there, but another big name about maybe getting traded, LeBron. Are they moving LeBron? I
Is
know
that what
he
they
took his.
said?
I know he
Yeah.
took his option, but he's got some. Obviously he's 40. He's got some concerns about the Lakers roster. He wants to win a championship still, but he doesn't believe they have the roster. I mean, they haven't done anything in free agency. I mean, they signed uh, a guy to a 2-year deal. He's just another depth player.
Oh, Jake LaRavia or something like
Yeah.
that.
Um,
Arabia,
but
Arabia.
does LeBron get? Did they trade LeBron? Should the Warriors trade for LeBron too? Should they trade Kuminga and a couple others for LeBron?
I don't think so. Not that. I'd hold off on LeBron. Hey, a couple years ago, maybe. When was it? Was it last year or a couple years ago where they were actually asking about LeBron, like trying to just fill him out, see what they'd want to take for him. It didn't happen, obviously, but I think that's what good franchises do. They make that phone call. They see what, hey, what it'll take, and then probably Lakers just asking way too much. Boy, you got new ownership now too, right? I believe the Lakers.
They do. Owner of
They
the Dodgers is bought the Lakers from the Bus family.
so
Genie.
when new ownership comes
Yeah.
along, then yeah, maybe try to go in a different direction. If
Maybe they
LeBron
clean
doesn't like
house.
it, yeah,
I mean, it's
then
tough. I mean, it's crazy that he says they don't have the championship roster after they traded for Luca. It's crazy. But
he's seen something already that
yeah, he's seen
that maybe the
Luca doesn't
Mavericks
play
don't.
defense.
It's just when I see some of so Jalen Brunson, Luca were on the same draft class,
Yeah,
2018. They were on.
Mavericks
They
had a
were.
squad. I mean,
They
shoot,
were.
they had. I mean, but when they were both on the team, they went against the Western Conference. They went to the Western Conference Finals, 2022. But who did they run into playing? Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, and that's just a tough guy to beat. And they end up losing in 5 games. After that, Brunson goes to New York. He starts balling
They
out.
need a. They need a 30 for 30 or a documentary or whatever they end up doing of how many teams Curry just denied these guys from getting anywhere close to the NBA Finals. I mean, it's already been documented on what they did to the Houston Rockets. I mean, they changed general managers, they changed coaches, they changed players.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah, Curry is never in this. Curry's won most of his series in the playoffs. He's got a great record in the playoffs, and in the series he has lost in, excluding the Timberwolves series because he didn't play in the games. He's at least gone 6 games in all those series. I mean, he doesn't go down in 4, doesn't go down in 5. He takes some 6 games. He doesn't go down without a fight. I mean, it's just the GOAT.
He's an unbelievable player. I mean, yeah, Memphis, he took Memphis out. Memphis went same thing. Coaches, players changed. Zach Randolph to John Morant, that kind of thing. So, and he did that to the Trailblazers too. I mean, he just did it to so many teams that there's an idea for you. You may put some clips together. Let's get a 30 for 30. All the teams that Curry said night to.
Yeah, definitely is. But it's only day 2 of free agency. Still a lot of time left, so we'll have to keep reporting on that. But that's it for now.
We'll see if we need to do a special Warrior signing pod.
Quick
A
little
quick
10
one,
minutes.
Giannis to
Might
the
have
Warriors.
That'd be a dream. I would love that. But yeah, moving on to some NFL news. The NFL news has been slow. Obviously, it's still the off season, but the other day, big news. Dolphins trading cornerback Jalen Ramsey, tight end Jonnu Smith to the Steelers in exchange for Minka Fitzpatrick and a pick swap. So like I said, Ramsey and Smith and a 2027 7th round pick to the Steelers in exchange for Minka Fitzpatrick and a 2027 5th round pick. Fitzpatrick, who was drafted by the Dolphins, played with the Dolphins, was traded, I believe, in his first year, his rookie year, to the Steelers, ends up getting traded back to where his career started. And to me, I was kind of baffled by this trade, to be honest. I mean, you're trading corner for a safety and a tight end. Jalen Ramsey, obviously, he's up there. He's getting up there in age. Obviously, he's still elite, still one of the better corners. probably not one of the better, one of the probably best corners still in the league on that big contract. But they get tight end Jonnu Smith. And then they send Minka. They send their safety. You'd think if you want to acquire a player like Ramsey, you want to keep your All Pro safety. Obviously, Fitzpatrick hasn't been an All Pro since 2022. He's definitely taken a couple steps back in the past couple of seasons. But I couldn't believe that trade went down. I can't, and especially with that team. I was like expecting. I was like, that was a little bit of a wild card.
They carry a premium. So, Steelers they swung the bat and huge trade. And there's some are saying they must be going all in this year.
They must be. I mean, they got DK. They signed Rodgers.
Yeah.
Who else did they get? They signed Darius Slay as well. So now they have a great corner tandem. Just don't have a clue who their safeties are, but that's okay. But yeah, so like I said, Dolphins traded their tight end Jonnu Smith. So what do they do? They need a tight end now, and so they trade for Darren Waller, the former Raider, former Giant. It will come out of retirement, or will end his retirement and play and sign with the Dolphins. So I think it's a 1-year, $5 million deal. Says Miami is sending a conditional 2026 6th-round pick to New York and is also receiving a 2027 7th-round pick. So Waller and a 7th-round pick go to Miami. New York receives a 6th-round pick. And that was, to me, when I saw that, I was like, that is crazy. He retired. Obviously, playing for the Giants is probably rough, especially when they're really bad.
He's been out of football. He's been retired.
He's been out of football. But now he's unretiring, coming out, gonna play. Obviously, when he was with the Raiders, he was a top 5 tight end in the league. I mean, he was putting up 1,000-yard season. Yeah, Pro Bowl, 1,000-yard season. He was a beast. And then they had a situation with Josh McDaniels. Gets traded. Wasn't healthy with the Giants. Didn't produce much. Got married. Had his total divorce with Kelsey Plum.
Got married, got divorced. Oh, boy.
Became a rapper, and now he's back in the NFL. It's not a lock that he's on that Miami roster, but with the tight end situation, I wouldn't be surprised if he did make it. He probably will make it and be probably their starting tight end. I mean, they look like the Dolphins had interest in Raiders tight end Michael Mayer, but the Raiders probably don't have interest in trading him. They have that young tight end duo of Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers. But yeah, that's just crazy to me. He came out of retirement. It's kind of like with Gronk, except Gronk's probably the best tight end of all time. Gronk retired, and then Brady, you're going to the Bucks. I will join you, and boom, he goes to the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm coming with
you.
And
let's go win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're probably hoping they get old school. When he played for the Raiders, Darren Waller, they get that guy. Yeah. Any kind of production like that doesn't even have to be 1,000 yards and 9. It could be
probably like 800.
Yeah, do 805 touchdowns, that would be a win.
They got Tyreek Hill, speed guy. Jalen Waddle, another speed guy. Darren Waller is a fast tight end. He's also a big tight end. I mean, those three, if Waller could put up at least half of his production from his Raider years, that's a great offense. Tua, obviously, he's had the concussion problems. Hopefully, the offensive line could protect him. But it could be scary hours in Miami. Hopefully, they got a safety. They will pair him with, I believe, Javon Holland. Is Javon Holland still on the Dolphins? I don't think he is. No, he's not. Is he on? Oh, Javon Holland's not on. He's on the Giants now. I lied. But now, they replaced Javon Holland with Minka, so that's good for them. They find a replacement from their young safety and get an All-Pro, but it's going to be an interesting NFL season, to say the least.
Yeah, it'd be exciting. There's people moving, and I know you're probably going to be having a fantasy football draft soon, draft party.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Thanks for reminding me. I'm gonna have to set that up.
You have to set it up, man. Get it going.
Into it. I gotta send a text out, send out a date. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that.
We're it's just time's flying. We're already July 1st, and
yeah,
NBA is hot. NFL's around the corner. I mean, actually, I believe there's a preseason game at the end of this month.
Yeah, the 31st. I'm pretty sure it's a Hall of Fame game. I guess they moved it a week earlier. But yeah, MLB All Star break is coming up soon. That'll be the trade deadline. Will be coming up for the MLB. We'll probably be talking about that um, very soon. We would talk about the big Rafael Devers trade. There'll probably be a couple more like that. But it's an exciting time for sports. Before we end off, all I gotta say, I know we're not big. I know this is not sponsored in what whatsoever, but if you haven't, you should all go see the F1 movie. I don't know if you've seen it, but that's a great movie. That's a movie.
Really?
It is. I've never
Mhm.
watched,
You are
racing.
you? Is it what is it? It's NASCAR? Or it's not NASCAR.
It's Formula One.
Oh, okay. See, I don't
Yeah,
even know that. So are you a big Formula One fan?
I'm
Do
not.
you,
I
you
don't. I don't.
watch that?
I don't watch none of that. I just
Maybe this turned you on to being a fan now,
it
and
might have.
you watch.
It is a sport. So we can technically talk about it. But yeah, just obviously Brad Pitt, big name. He was the main guy in the movie. But yeah, I remember seeing the trailer. I was like, that looks like a good movie. I think I want to watch that. And sure enough, went out there, watched it, and it's a great movie. So
It was
I
everything you
recommend,
thought. Huh? Good.
I recommend those who listen. They should watch it. It's a great movie.
Check it out, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
But that'll be all for today. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment what you guys want us to talk about. We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify. I like to thank my co-host, my uncle, for joining me in today. And until next time, stay ready.